Editor Adam here. Totally forgot to say this whenever I recorded. Spoiler warning. I show off a bunch of clips of Dragon Ball. I really don't talk about a lot of spoilers, but if you haven't watched Dragon Ball Z, please go watch it. I don't go in super detail, but you need to go watch it. Go watch Dragon Ball. Spoilers. Okay. So, I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z lately, and it has me wondering, was Dragon Ball Z as cool as we thought? I know, it sounds a little crazy, I may be off my rocker a bit, but hear me out. Dragon Ball Z is amazing. From its original airing date in 1989 on Toonami, and its later Dragon Ball Z Kai counterpart airing on Nicktoons in 2009. To this day, with the rumors of Dragon Ball Super's anime coming back to the manga coming back from a month-long hiatus. Dragon Ball is truly a timeless series if you were a kid in the 90s or a kid in the early 2010s. You just couldn't escape Dragon Ball. Everything from its colorful cast of characters to its unforgettable abilities and moves. It formed childhoods with the Kamehameha and the Super Saiyan transformation. It broke barriers in anime and manga, with 350 million copies of its tankobon volumes selling worldwide, and one of the most watched animes of a generation. That being said, it's one of the most recognizable franchises, with just an orange and blue color scheme. It truly rules the anime world. Everything from our main character Goku fighting his brother from outer space, to Goku literally destroying evil incarnate. It has a special place in everyone's heart, anime lover or not. But was Dragon Ball Z that good? If you ask anyone that remotely likes anime or is just above the age of 15, they'll probably say, yeah, it was fire, I used to watch it as a kid. That's the thing though. We were kids. Alright, let me explain. What are some of the reasons you aren't watching One Piece? Is it too long? Do the episodes drag? Or maybe you don't even have time for it at all? These may be some of the reasons why you aren't watching One Piece, but those are the reasons why we watched Dragon Ball when we were younger. As kids, we have an infinite number of hours to do things, like watching anime and cartoons or playing video games. As long as it was between the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., my mom didn't let me stay up late as a kid. The world was our oyster. Nothing stopped us from what we wanted to do unless our parents told us otherwise. As a kid, I used to spend hours upon hours watching Dragon Ball Z. From the old VHS tape of Trunks finding his time machine, to the orange box sets that everyone hates but I always wanted to complete them, and I never did. I was in love with this show, playing the Budokai games, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Raging Blast 2, and so many more I can't even count. Spiking my hair with gel to look like Teen Gohan when he transforms into Super Saiyan 2. My cousin and I pretending to be Goku and Vegeta so we had a reason to beat up each other. But that is because I had the time to do stuff back then. I could do all of those things with little to no repercussion. Maybe staying up too late to watch another episode and hurry my morning routine so I wouldn't be late for school. It was all worth it, just to watch one more episode of Dragon Ball Z. Now looking back, it was a fun time. The thing about Dragon Ball Z, it isn't that it's not cool, because it's pretty cool. It's that Dragon Ball Z is hard to enjoy when you're an adult. From growing up, to going to college, to getting a job, we are put on a schedule. Get our work done now, then do what we want later. Another way, and a shorter way to say it, is work now, play later. But as you get older, your work slowly bleeds into your play. At first with a little bit of homework after school, then to having a job and working on something for hours just to meet a deadline by the end of the day. It's difficult to enjoy Dragon Ball Z or other anime or manga when you have no time to enjoy it. When you get older, you start to lose interest in the things you love the most. because it's difficult to find that enjoyment. That being from a long day of work or doing assignments till 11 p.m. You may pick up an anime or a manga when you have the downtime between those heavy loads of work. You may drop it after a couple of weeks because it's too difficult to do both. Dragon Ball is one of those anime or manga for me. You could say that I may have outgrown it, but I still love it with all my heart. Going back and watching Goku and Piccolo face off against Raditz, or Gotenks being goofy while fighting Super Buu. It's always fun to watch, but even I find myself in this work now, play later cycle. At the end of the day, it's not that we've outgrown it, it's that we have become so used to this work now, play later schedule. We base most of our life off of it. Most of us wake up, go to school, go to work, then come home with something like an assignment or overtime, and as soon as we're done with that, we just go to bed. Even though that it may sound like I disagree with the work now, play later sentiment, I somewhat agree with it. I think you should always have balance in your life. Try not to let one bleed into the other. Even though it's very difficult to keep that balance, bleed through is inevitable. It will take some effort. After some tweaking and human engineering, you'll get it down. Maybe not within a couple of days or a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months, but you will eventually, so you can have that time for yourself. And maybe, just maybe, when you get a day after work or school and you have not much to do, watch an episode or maybe even 2 of Dragon Ball Z. It is as cool as you remember, with all the screaming, ridiculous transformations, and amazing fights. It can have a pacing issue. The whole 10 episodes of screaming can be a bit egregious sometimes, but the show is over 30 years old, so I recommend cutting it some slack. But the childlike wonder of watching Dragon Ball Z will never get old. Right now, I've been watching the Saiyan Saga, and it's just as good as I remember it being. From the Raditz fight, to all the Z fighters, almost failing against Nappa. If you're not sure where to start, I recommend starting from the place where you feel the most comfortable. Most people like to start from the Cell Saga, and some people like to start dead in the middle of Dragon Ball Z, where Majin Vegeta and Goku fight. I feel the most comfortable watching the Saiyan Saga, and that's where I always start. I feel the most comfortable in the Saiyan Saga because it is my favorite saga. I know that life can get difficult from work, school, and even personal relationships. It's difficult to find balance between it all. But when you do kind of get in the groove and find that balance, Dragon Ball will always be there, ready for as many screams and punches you need in your life. Or you can do something else. I don't know, I'm not a life coach. I'm just sitting here talking because I like to talk. Also, follow the Twitter. Follow the Twitter.